When I was growing up with computers, the one thing I really loved was the fact that we could customize our desktop icons, our wallpapers, our Windows themes, even our startup sounds. These are all things we can still do. However, now we can go one step further and build beautiful PCs like this one here. And I build these to inspire you guys to build beautiful PCs of your own. Today we've got the Antec NX416L. It's a nice new mid-tower case. What we're gonna do is our usual thing. We're just gonna build in this PC to inspire you guys, and I actually tested the thermals with this one as well. Hang on a second. Does this really say activate Windows down here? Well, do I have a fix for you?
This video is brought to you by VIPSCDkey.com. Have you ever installed Windows only to see that watermark of death? You don't need to fork out a couple of $100s for a key. You can grab one from today's video sponsor, from VIPSCDkey.com for a tenth of the price. You can use our code GEAR to get 25% off. How good is that? That takes that already cheap Windows key and makes it even cheaper. You can grab yourself a copy of Office Pro 2019 with code GEAR and save yourself a whole stack of money as well. It's as easy as placing your order. Bingo bango! You've got your new key on your orders page. You chuck that key into the activation screen and you're good to go. No more watermark of death. You can even use your cheap Windows 10 Pro key to upgrade to Windows 11 Pro. Use code GEAR for 25% off. Link in the description. On with the video.
thermals with the Antec NX416L. What you're seeing on your screen right now is the thermals aren't too bad at all. Keep in mind though, this is a 360mm liquid cooler on the 7800X3D, and typically this CPU doesn't get very hot either. One thing that surprised me as well was this GPU didn't get that hot, and it's a bit of a surprise because the cooler is a lot smaller than we typically see on 40 series cards, and that's a good thing. I'm not gonna lie, I would much prefer a GPU to run much cooler, but overall I think the thermal performance here is pretty spot on, considering this case has a bit of a peculiar setup. What do I mean by that? Well, we didn't do the optimal fan setup for this build really, because this supports intake fans on the side of the case, and something you might not have seen in the build section, but if you're looking directly at the motherboard tray, on the right hand side of the motherboard tray, we've got a plastic shroud which hides those additional fan mounts. So I think that's pretty cool that this is becoming more of a normal thing. This is something that I predicted back in 2019. I said, hey, this is going to become a trend going forward for cases, and we've seen it. It's developed into a bit of a trend. The NX416L is no different here. So it does follow this trend that we've seen over the last couple of years. Another really interesting thing to mention about this case from Antec when I was building with it was the little connectors that you plug in for the front panel headers for your lights and your switches and everything. Now this is a white case, and typically what will happen with white cases is manufacturers will just have black cables and black connectors, and the text on it will just be black because they've just reused it from the black version of the case because it's easier for tooling. But one thing I noticed, as mentioned, is the lettering on the connectors here is embossed with no color whatsoever, so it appears to be white. These little bits of attention to detail, that's got me to believe one thing that you guys might not know about PC cases. Antec's on the come up again. Antec used to be the #1 case company forever, well before RGB and all this stuff many years ago. Seeing little things like that makes me realize that Antec cares about their aesthetics of their cases. With saying that though, the RGB controller is just lifted from the black version of the case and the cables are all black. But not many case companies will do things where those tiny little details are addressed. I guess that's the right word for it. Another thing to mention with this case that I noticed when building was the front fans are, I would say, a non-standard size. They're 160mm fans. It's not a size that we typically see on cases. We have seen cases with 180mm fans in the past and just weird measurements. So yeah, 160 is a bit of an odd one. However, you can change those to any other size that you like at the front as well. Remember, this isn't really a case review. These are just little things that I noticed when I was building because maybe you guys might ask those questions. But overall, I think Antec's done a pretty adequate job with the NX416L, and it's not a terrible case. Now, if you're interested in any of the parts used in this build, there's a PCPartPicker list down below that has everything down there, but I put little cards during the build section of the video to show you what most of the hardware is anyway. If you're interested in getting your hands on the Antec NX416L, in the US, they're going for around $105 US, $99 for the black version with the included fans. And in Australia, for the white version, you're looking at about 139 Aussie dollars at the time of filming this video. And overall, like, this isn't really a case review. This is just something I wanted to build in to inspire you guys. But I think it's pretty interesting that those little bits of attention to detail have been addressed, especially with those little white connectors. Like, what is that? Why have they done that? I'm not complaining about it. It's really, really cool. I think they've done a good job with this case, and I think you guys will like it too. And if you like the music you heard here, I make all the music. Join button down below and watch one of these videos, or don't. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peek, we seek. Yeah, there's something floating up here. It's probably interesting. I don't know. How do we make YouTube videos again? I don't know. I feel like I'm in a black void. It's kind of cool. Like I'm floating in space. Imagine if we had like twinkly space lights. Now there's an idea.